open. And yeah, so basically, we spend a lot of time during the week being stressed out, and I'm sure we all have experiences where we feel like we're just throwing ourselves at a wall over and over and over again, and we are trying to tackle a problem in one way over and over again. We can get sort of fixed in our solution seeking, and it can be difficult to break out of that and drop back into what's called a beginner's mind, where we can really kind of receive the moment for what it is and come up with more unique and creative solutions. And this can happen with our art as well. We can be locked with like familiar traps like perfectionism. It's like we just can't feel like we can make
Hmm.
a mark on the page because we're scared it's not going to be perfect. And we all know that it takes trial and error and growing and learning to get something done. And we know that perfect is the enemy of done, so we
Hmm.
don't want to do that. So
Perfection
yeah,
in
we're just
any art form. If I can just interject here before we get started, I have a personal question, I guess. My brother-in-law is practicing, I think, Taekwondo. It may not be Taekwondo. No, it's gymnastics. I'm sorry. He's practicing gymnastics, and his instructor is telling them that they need to do it perfect the first time or go home. He's literally
mhm.
telling them perfection is the goal, perfection is necessary, perfection every time. How insane is that? And what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, I think martial arts and sort of manual situations like that, we're not talking about creative work there necessarily. We are talking about perfect form. So I do think that that's a little bit of an exception to the rule.
Okay.
You're because what you don't want to do, especially with something like martial arts, is you don't want to practice something incorrectly to a point where it becomes muscle memory. So you want to make
Right.
sure that you've got your form perfect because you're going to
Every time.
practice that. You're going to practice that punch over and over and over again, and you want that to be what becomes muscle memory. But that's not what we're here to do today. We're here to do creative work, and creative work is not
Okay.
something where creative work is not going to be the same thing there.
So it's a
Um,
different kind of art form, but still
mm,
art.
and I'll bet, for instance, people who learn that punch over and over again just that way, well, that teacher better be teaching the best punch in the world because that's the one that they're learning and that's the one that they're practicing. So, they, with fighting, because, I do a bit of boxing myself, and there is a degree of creativity that comes in sparring and in fighting. Um, but but I think the creativity there is how do you put the building blocks together, and but getting the building blocks right is probably only so many ways you can throw a punch, and I'll bet people have probably figured that out pretty well by now.
Right.
So
So you can master that
yeah,
form
yep. Mm.
and get the
And then the
form perfect.
creativity,
So you
yeah,
can achieve perfection then.
you can
I
achieve
guess I
perfection
guess
in
that's
in
my
that.
issue with it is like if your form was perfect, you'd throw the perfect punch and it'd be flawless and you would destroy, right?
Well, throwing a perfect punch isn't winning a fight. And like drawing a perfect square isn't necessarily achieving, I guess, art necessarily. So like we're kind of talking about some different stuff here.
That's a good
Talking
lead
about
in though,
Yeah, it
right
is a good
there.
lead in. Yeah, so uh, I think that there are probably if you're taking an art class, I'm sure that if a teacher is trying to teach you maybe for instance a color theory uh, a color theory exercise or a perspective exercise, there is probably going to be objectively right and wrong achievements of that exercise, and
Hmm.
one could strive for perfection in those things, but that's why they're exercises and they're not art.
Hmm.
So yeah, with our art though, we are looking to do something creative here. And I think also with the type of work that a lot of us do, being thinking work and people work and creative work, there is rarely a correct answer and there is rarely a perfect solution.
Right.
So yeah, learning how to bring a beginner's mind and bring that create together over that over those creative blocks can be powerful.
You got a creative block right in the middle of the sentence.
I
It
did.
happens.
Um,
All right. Well, what is let's I wanted to read this question. I it
sure.
Dreamer Heart said definitely excited for this stream. I'm naturally curious and creative individual. Intertwined combination of school, parents, and mental health struggles really stripped that away from me. Hoping this might help some. Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, I think it really comes down to application of the techniques. So doing this, yeah, if you do
Mhm.
the stuff that the app has the tools available for free, then I think it'll show off in the product and the end result.
All right. So let's go ahead and get to it. If you haven't grabbed your drawing utensil and piece of paper or whatever, please do so. And yeah, this is going to seem really familiar because it's basically the same exercise we do for sort of a depression intervention. It is the brightening visualization, but just with a little bit of a different application this time. Depression often is a result of getting into that tight, incurious mind state. And so we're going to be doing this, whether you're depressed or not, it can still be a good benefit for you to reconnect to some curiosity and unlock some creativity. So to do this, go ahead and just find a posture that's relaxed but alert. You can imagine that the seat is heavy and anchored in the chair, that there's a little golden hook that's lifting the crown of the head towards the sky so that the spine is nice and long. And just taking a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can gently close your eyes when you're ready. And as you breathe in, just setting the intention to stay fully present with this practice today, expressing a little gratitude to yourself for showing up. And as you exhale, just letting go of any memories, any plans, any worries, anything that might take you away. I've got my eye on the clock, so you can just be fully present with the exercise today. And what I'd like for you to do now is to begin just by anchoring a little bit. We're just going to, again, bringing this concept of a beginner's mind. A beginner's mind is a lot about listening. So instead of trying to think our way from a solution that we think already exists, we're going to listen to what the world is telling us and see if solutions present themselves. So to do that, first, we're just going to anchor through our senses. This is an exercise we've done many times, but just beginning to notice any sounds in the room around us. We're just going to bring our full curiosity. What sounds are present in this moment right now? Recognizing that the ears already know how to hear, sound is always coming to us, and now we're just giving 100% of our attention to listening. And if the mind wanders off in any way from just listening to the sounds, we just gently notice and bring it back. That's the concept of anchoring. We just have our attention lightly placed on something in our environment, and if anything takes us away, we just use the anchor to come back. And now just noticing any smells or tastes in the air right now. Again, the nose and the tongue already know what they're doing. They're sending this information all the time. But we're just going to rest our attention on those senses. Just exploring this moment. What smells, what tastes are present right now? And if the mind takes us away, or maybe a pain in the body or a sound outside, anything at all that distracts us, we just gently notice we became distracted, come back to smells and tastes. And now feeling the body you sat in the chair, just noticing the points of contact between yourself and the chair, the clothes on your skin, now just exploring through the sense of touch. What touch sensations are present in this moment? It's interesting as how we move the spotlight from one sense to the next. We recognize that we can't pay attention to everything at once. So we have to be intentional about the things we focus on. And now what we'll do is find our breath, just feeling the rise and fall with the breath, feeling the place where you feel it most easily in the body. This could be at the nostrils or the belly with the rise and fall. And now we're just exploring this moment through breathing, feeling the rise with the inhalation, the fullness at the top of the breath, the softening with the exhalation, the peace at the bottom of the breath. And as you bring curiosity to exploring the breath, just noticing that no two breaths are ever the same. One might fill one side of the body more than the other. One might be warmer or cooler, deeper, shallower. Bringing that beginner's mind to every breath. And now we'll begin this visualization. If you don't have the ability to build a 100% crystal clear picture, it doesn't really matter. It's really more about the feeling. So just getting a general notion and anchoring yourself on this exercise. If the mind wanders off, we just bring it back here. But what I'd like for you to do is just notice it's as if it's always been there, that there is a tiny speck of sunlight in the center of your chest. It might be white, it might be gold, it might be purple, it might be green. Just whatever color you notice, just imagine this light in the center of the chest. And notice that it comes with this warm, spacious quality about it, just like standing in warm sunlight. And in noticing it, it begins to grow. It begins to expand out in all directions, carrying with it that warmth, that lightness, that brightness. Just feeling the light now spreading from the center of the chest in all directions, just filling up the chest, filling into the upper back and into the ribs and throat. It's just melting away any tension that it comes in contact with, any tightness, any just finding space and possibility wherever it touches. And once it's filled that area of the body, just imagining it streaming up the throat into the chin and up towards the head and streaming down the arms and moving down into the belly and towards the toes. Just imagining this light now spreading across the entirety of the body, filling with it this feeling of lightness, any tension dissolving away, any tightness just loosening up, just finding space, bringing warmth and brightness. And when the body's completely full of this light now, you can imagine it's as if the walls of the body just get a little bit less solid and the light begins to spill out now into the room. And just begin imagining it. It's just spreading out, started in the center of your chest, and now it's just spreading out from the body, filling every corner of the room you're sitting in. It's just being filled now with this light, this spaciousness. It's just brightening every corner, every crevice, washing over everything and bringing with it that warm, light, possible quality. And now imagining it spreading out beyond the walls of the room, it's spilling out into the street or the hallway, wherever it may be. You just imagine the light spilling out now and spreading and filling every corner, every crevice, just bringing that brightness, that possibility to everything it touches. And now spreading out beyond the walls of whatever room you might find yourself, whatever building you might find yourself. It's spreading out into the outside. So you start seeing it going down your street, across your town or field or park, whatever's around you, spreading as far as your eye can see and just filling everything it touches with this lightness, with this brightness and curiosity and possibility. Imagining it spreading beyond your town now. It's going across the countryside. It's going across the ocean, spreading across the entirety of the globe. And when you can't imagine the light spreading any further across the globe, it begins to go beyond the globe now, spreading across the moon and planets and stars, sun, spreading beyond our solar system, off into the galaxies, spreading in all directions across the entire universe. And when you can't imagine the light spreading any further within this universe, you imagine it begins spilling into universes of our favorite stories, our favorite video games. It's just breaking down the walls, filling up every possible space you can imagine. And when you can't imagine that light spreading any further, when you can't imagine that feeling of spaciousness and curiosity and brightness being any stronger, just let go of the visualization. Sit with that feeling for a moment. And then pick up your pen and your paper and just doodle whatever comes out. It could be an image, it could be a phrase, whatever comes to mind. There's no wrong here. All right. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that. If you find yourself struggling with a bit of writer's block or creative block in the past, you can flash that little exercise, see if it brings any inspiration for you. And so you said my mind went blank and I couldn't think of anything. Yep, that's totally fine. That happens too. Sometimes you don't think of anything, but you can just put your pen on the pad and just move it around. So Sam posted some sort of fun fractal thing. Sam, what'd you get there? Where'd that come from?
Oh, I was muted there. I was drawing that on Silk, the Silk
Uh,
Weave app,
uh-huh.
in that last part. So I actually did this on my own before because I knew I'd be running the stream and clipping stuff. So I I did this same meditation before, and um, so I was primed, and I made this before. Made this one live, and I made one right before it. So pretty
Mhm.
much the whole time I was doing that. That was kind of like the inspiration for it.
Chloe, do you wanna give us a reading? You don't have to, don't want to. I do
Anyone else have
not. I
something they
meant
want
like
to
if I,
share?
Chloe, do you mind if I try to read it? Right. All right. A glorious sunset, beams from beyond a daze. The focus and the light come back into play with the gentle breeze. I am everything once again. The confusion melts as I become what I once knew myself to be. I decide. I do not react. My decisions are made effortlessly, and my actions are in alignment. In the silence, harmony prevails, recognized. Very cool, Chloe.
I like that.
Connor, something that I noticed,
Harmony
by the way, is that my
prevails.
light often changes color whenever I do the brightening exercise. The first few times it was golden, and the next time it was white, and today it's orangey. Huh, that's fun.
That's true. I actually experienced the same thing.
Thanks for reading it. Yep, and BU drew a fish doodle. All right, very cool. All right, anybody else want to share what maybe come out or how anything about the exercise and how it felt? Got some activity in the chat.
We got Connor. We got Dreamheart. Kay, thanks for coming out
I had a
to
hard
this.
time imagining the light, but an
Toby.
easy time predicting where it would go. Interesting. Yep. Visualization is a thing that people have different levels of ability to do. So definitely don't get hung up on it if it's not a super clear image. You can just focus on the feeling and focus on the intention. Toby, I worked on a memoir, but you do not want to read. All right, fair enough, Toby. I have trouble focusing on the meditations while on PC, but I can take this activity and do it in a more quiet space, definitely.
Yeah.
Be you.
I'm going to highlight the stream and then export it as a video to YouTube. So we'll have that recorded, just the part where he goes through it too. So you can go back and watch it.
And it's, just about. Do I do that in the brightening exercise? Do I do that one
It
with
wasn't
him?
as in depth.
Wasn't as in depth.
I
Okay.
That's what I like about these is you always kind of ad lib them and go a little bit deeper. I
Hmm.
mean, it's the best. It's the best way to, I think, practice is with other people and
Sure.
having some guidance. The app goes so far, and then when you're doing them live, like usually you will maybe go longer in one segment based on sort of the feel of people's need or interest that day. It
Yeah.
works really
Just
well.
depends on what we're focusing on. Yeah. Dream heart. I had to open my eyes for the exercise because every time I closed them for an extended period of time, I got even more distracted and it got even harder. Generally, I don't do great with meditations or mindfulness exercise. I did my best though. Yeah, you did your best. That's
Hmm.
great. The mind being busy is not a failure. When it wanders off and you bring it back every time you do that, it's like getting a rep at the gym. So definitely don't beat yourself up.
Hmm.
Connor Drew is sharing some doodles here. Looks like got a little animal creature here, as well as some stars against like a little night sky or something. Very cool. All right, y'all. Anybody have anything else for us? Connor's got a little bit more, he's saying.
I'll just drop what I had, the experience I had today, because it was different than normal when I do this visualization.
Sure.
it was almost like the fractals were inspired because I had this vision. Instead of it was just a light, it was like um, vectors bouncing off of everything, kind of like a mesh network of different nodes like bouncing around. And I almost honestly felt like it related. Like it still acted like a light. If you imagine light acting in the particle form, in physics we think of it like a wave form and then a particle form. It kind of acts both ways. So light, I was envisioning it like all these little tiny dots of photons bouncing off of everything, and it was just a unique way to go through it because I don't know, it inspired the fractals. It honestly, I think that I'm gonna make some other stuff too based on it.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. BU asks, do we get homework today? And I'll noodle on that. After getting the tip to focus on feelings, so the visual helped a lot. And not struggling to try and see color of light, but feeling it move around feels really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And then Connor wrote, I drew with pen on purpose because I knew if I did it with pencil, I'd start erasing it the whole time and try to make it perfect, and I didn't want that. Good
Mm-hmm.
planning ahead. Um, yeah, let's see, homework. Um, I mean, I would say do this one more time on your own and see what comes out and share it. Like, that could be fun. It's a good homework, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to listen and do it and then in the moment, but take this, try to do it on your own, and then we have a channel specifically for this. You can share the art you've made. So tag us, tag me when you share it. I'll take a look at it.
Sweet. And the last note, the last word here, Chloe. I had to stop myself from stopping myself from editing once. Interesting experience. Yep, very good. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for dropping in. This was fun. And what else is coming? What else is coming down the events pipeline, Sam?
All right,
Tomorrow
so
we've